So, you think there's a secret to getting into product design and want to know what it is you need to do to land a job as a product designer. Well, I'm here to tell you what worked for me. And before I get started, I do want to mention that I got my job back in 2021. So things may be slightly different to today's market as it wasn't as oversaturated and AI wasn't that relevant. It's also important to mention that everyone's journey is different and what might work for one person may not work for someone else. I received a few private messages via email, LinkedIn, and also just in the comments on my videos asking me about how I got into product design. So I thought it was worth just answering some of those questions in a video form so that it can also help others in the future. I am going to be answering some of these frequently asked questions, so let's get started. Before I carry on, I do want to mention that I am looking at a script because I did write down all of my answers and I want to make sure that it's as clear as possible for you guys. So if you do see me looking up a few times, it's because I've written everything down and I just want to make sure that I've covered all bases. So yeah, let's get started. Do you work for a specific company full-time and is it contract? Yes, I work full-time as a product designer and I work for a well-known app within the marriage and dating field. I've been there for almost 5 years now and I started as a junior and this was my first ever role as a product designer. Many people have also asked about my journey getting into product design and how I landed the job and whether I needed to take any specific courses. So I studied at UAL and I got a Bachelor's of Arts in Creative Direction for Fashion. This course was related to fashion communications and it was all about trying to communicate a brand to the audience in the best way, whether it was through physical media, digital interfaces, or immersive spaces. As you can see, this wasn't directly linked to product design, but we did have some briefs where the deliverables were websites or some type of digital interface. However, looking back at it now, it was definitely not that user-friendly and it was more about the look and feel rather than the practicality, which leads me to my first takeaway from this course. Web design is not product design. At a glance, they may seem the same because either way, you're designing a website in this case. But being a product designer ensures you're not only designing something delightful, but it means that you have to know and understand your user and ensure that the experience in your design is meeting the user needs and allows them to complete the task that they came onto your website for. Web design equals aesthetics, whereas product design equals functionality and accessibility. Whilst on this course, we had different workshops to learn about different practices. I had attended one on web design, which was where I learned the basics of Sketch. And then with that knowledge, I took it to Adobe XD. Around this time, I was certain I wanted to be a UX designer of some sort, but I didn't know much about it. That's when I then stumbled across this documentary on Netflix, Abstract: The Art of Design. There was an episode with Ian Spalter and he was a product designer for Instagram at the time. I don't mean to be dramatic, but this was literally where my whole life changed. My eyes were open to the actual possibilities my little interests could lead me to. It was everything I was looking for. Because my course was still related to fashion, my final major project still needed to reflect this in some way. But I already knew I wanted to become a product designer and I therefore decided to design a children's fashion app. From the discovery phase and research phase, designing high fidelity screens, prototyping it, and also making a commercial for it. Obviously, in the real world, a product designer's role does not necessarily include making a campaign for it. However, given the actual app wasn't going to be built, I needed to make it feel as real as possible. This links to my second takeaway. Speculative design is just as important when starting off in your design position. Just because you haven't got direct experience in a tech company working alongside engineers and developers, that doesn't take away your skill. Because what you can show here is that you're capable of design thinking and finding a solution. At a junior level, this is what we'd want to see. Obviously, you might not have worked with the actual development side. Okay, so the next question is, how did you get this job and how long did it take after your graduation? Like anyone looking for a job today, I was constantly on LinkedIn browsing for a graduate position. I was working part-time in retail, so I wasn't exactly in a hurry to leave, but I knew I didn't want to be there forever. During this time, I also had a design internship for a few months, but it was difficult to manage, mainly because they were based in New York and I was here in the UK, so the time difference wasn't great. I graduated during COVID time, so it had already been a year since I had graduated. I was working as a teacher's assistant during the week and a sales advisor on the weekends. I came across my current role on LinkedIn, and that same night I basically made my CV, but in the style of our profiles on the app, and just applied immediately. TLDR is, it was roughly just over a year after I graduated, and I applied through LinkedIn. How was your journey like? Did you take any particular courses to help build your skills for this job? Everyone's journey is different. I didn't take any courses to land my first position, but what I did do was work on more made-up projects to elevate my craft. I designed a random landing page for BTS because I was bored, and I just found a problem with their existing site at the time. And out of everything, that's the piece of work that I was actually asked about in my interview, and I needed to talk about it. So you never know what's actually going to catch someone's attention, so just keep designing. At the time, I was hired as a junior product designer, and it was literally just me and my team lead in the UX team. I do feel like had I started at a company that had a large product design team, I might have struggled more. Again, this is different for everyone, but personally, I quite liked the size as my lead was a great mentor and I was able to grow quickly. I didn't take any courses before landing this job, but I have done a few whilst at this current position. None of it was mandatory, it was just to strengthen specific areas I wished to grow in. For example, accessibility and motion design. That takes us to the final piece of advice, which is the most important thing is putting it into practice. There are so many resources online that are free, including YouTube videos, LinkedIn posts, etc. And I would focus on learning from those first before paying for some course to just get a certificate for it. Then in your spare time, start building your own case studies. The last question is on salary. What I would say is when searching for a product design role, or any role for that matter, is you need to measure whether you're there for the experience, values, or pay. Many videos you see online about product design often claim to have $100K annual salaries.
120K a year?
Made a little bit over 200. I think 85,000.
But you need to remember that this all depends on where you're based. Although the number may sound big, the standard of living is completely different in the US compared to the UK. I'm no expert of what majority of UK companies are paying product designers today. However, according to the site, the salary range for entry level is 40K to 50K. But this depends on your location, the company you work for, and also your experience. For me, I chose to work for the company for the values and the overall work ethic as opposed to the pay. My pay at the time was more than my 2 jobs, so I was happy. That's all for today's video, so I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or anything you want to see, please make sure to leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you. Hopefully my next product design video will be about a day in my life as a product designer, because there's been a few things that I've updated since my last one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See ya!